This summer we made a video of the Citroën camper van, and that was actually quite a fun video to make because obviously I don't drive camper vans on a day-to-day basis. So it was pretty cool to explore how it is to live with a vehicle like that. Cue the van behind me. Vans are part of everyday life, but I don't drive vans in my daily life. I'm not a handyman or a plumber or anything. But still, they are such ubiquitous tools for craftsmen, for small companies, for builders, for anything really you can imagine. And we have to deal with them every single day on the road. So I thought it was cool to review this Toyota Proace Electric van because here in the Netherlands at least, emission restrictions and restrictions on what's allowed in and out of a city are getting stricter every day. So this electric option I think is really interesting, and especially because I don't drive vans on a day-to-day basis, I really wanted to see how it is to live with one of these on a normal week for me and to sort of explore what it is to drive a van. My name is Peter, welcome to a new Autogefühl video, and we start here on the front with this Proace with, I think, a handsome looking van. I mean, it's still a tool that you use obviously, but I think if you are a small business owner, contractor, handyman, or whatever it might be, of course you're proud of your work and proud of your company and you want a van that represents that. And I think this is a good looking vehicle all round. Now the underlying platform of this Toyota Proace is shared with Stellantis. So the Citroën vans, the Peugeot vans, the Opel vans, they all carry the same platform, but it is still a genuine Toyota product with Toyota warranty and all the Toyota goodness on top of it. But the architecture is shared between Toyota and Stellantis. When we walk down the side here, you can already see that this is the long version. So obviously we have a little bit of extra here in the back. There's also a shorter version available, of course. And if I open the sliding door here, you can see that I have the double cab worker version with an extra row of seats here, next to the seats in the front, of course. And that means you can take this van with your whole crew to the job site and then get the job done. Obviously here in the back there is cargo space that we'll have a look at later as well. Now there are about a million different varieties of this van, both in electric and in diesel. I won't bore you with all of them, but of course this is something that you can customize to your heart's content. There is so many options available, there's so many different things you can put in, on around this van that it's mind-boggling really once you start to read into that. But I think the van as it stands here is already a pretty handsome starting point with the double cab and the loading space in the back. Now taking a look at the cargo space of the Proace, opening this up, you can see that we have rear windows. That is not strictly necessary, of course. You can also have that completely blacked out, but in this one we have the windows. Opening this even further. By the way, the yellow thing here is to open the door all the way out in case you want ultimate flexibility or block the sidewalk. We can see here that we have 6 cubic meters of cargo capacity, which is pretty big already, even despite the second row of seating. Obviously, if you don't have the second row, you have even more space. And obviously, you can also have the shorter version with slightly less capacity in this configuration. But again, the configuration goes crazy once you start thinking about all the things that are possible. Now, you can tell right away that this is already pre-made to be modified. They know that nobody's going to leave this van as standard. So you can see the wall panels, you can see the completely flat floor already. And there's already things like these covers, hide tie-down points. It's so functional already, and that's even without doing anything to it. But you can imagine once you start putting shelving in here and wall racks and hanging things and whatever you might need for your job, that it becomes a truly functional space. Now that functionality continues here on the roof. If we step up, they've already prepared the roof with these points here for, you can see them all the way down the side, for any kind of roof rack, because obviously plumbers and pipe fitters and whoever like to carry stuff on the roof as well. So it's already all there. So that doesn't require any further modifications and you can just get going right away. Now we're going to take a closer look at everything, of course, starting with the front cabin tour as we always do. And I'm going to talk you through the whole van, and of course we're going to take it for a drive as well. Now the first thing you notice when you get into the cab of this Toyota Proace is the sheer amount of volume in here. Obviously normally reviewing cars where volume is always restricted, this is effectively a square box and it gives you so much space to breathe, both in headroom, width and just overall air in the cabin. which I think is nice. It's you don't want to have this as your workplace and feel cramped all the time. The equipment in here is very recognizable. A lot of it is from the Stellantis group, which is not an issue because in general their equipment is fine. And I have to say, overall, the cabin is a nice place to be. There's only a little bit of piano black here on the steering wheel, and everything is manually operated. So as far as that goes, I'm happy already. It makes sense as well, because this is a place where people are working, so they don't have time to take their gloves off and start swiping on things, for example. So things like the ventilation control, the climate unit, and everything is manually operated. Buttons on the steering wheel, buttons for the windows and the mirrors. So it makes sense that people are in here to make money. They're on the clock, they need to write hours, and they don't have time to mess about with equipment that doesn't function the way they want to. So it makes sense, and it's nice to see that those things are taken care of properly. The other thing you notice is that there is a ton of storage in here. So we have a glove box here up in the dash. There is a lot of storage over there. The door bins are positively enormous for your big flask of coffee, of course. There's storage, extra storage up here. There's storage on the side, in the middle, and there is a large gap here between the seats. Now that gap is specific to this configuration, because of course if you don't take the second row of seating, the bulkhead is right behind here, and then this becomes an extra seat. But again, this is fully configurable. I'm 100% sure that if you start Googling, that you'll find a company that makes microwave that fit exactly in between here. If you want this to be a laptop stand with an extra charging station, I'm 100% sure you can get that as well. So again, that adds to the flexibility of this platform, and I think that is quite nice. Now, if we do the usual tour, we have manual controls for the windows and the mirrors, like I already mentioned. The steering wheel is heated. There is some controls here for the steering wheel heating, the lights. There's also seat heating in this version here on the left of my chair. The controls on the steering wheel are very simple. Left for the cruise control, right for your systems and your media. And there's paddles behind the steering wheel for your regen braking in this electric version. Normal stalks as well for your wipers and your indicators and everything. So everything no nonsense. And again, this being a work environment, I think that no nonsense approach is exactly the right one to take. Both the driver's display and the central display are clear Stellantis screens. No issues there whatsoever. It's simple, it's basic information, and it's everything you need, I think. There is a button here on the left of the dash to flip through your several pages. Right now I have it on my battery status and my power meter. And that is really all you need, I think. I don't imagine a plumber sitting here going like, ooh, let's go and make the screen do fancy things that I don't really need. Then the screen in the middle, which is everything you can expect from a central infotainment screen, albeit quite basic, but I think very functional once again. I like that there's a dedicated button to go to your ADAS systems. I really like it that you can turn that off right away, and then a dedicated button to go home. And that manual ventilation control that I mentioned here, and the manual climate unit. Very good. All car makers that are watching, you can just copy this. Doesn't need to be changed. This is the way you want it. Not only in a work van, but also in normal passenger cars. More storage underneath. There's also a bit of charging here, because of course you need to keep everything charged, especially if you have your Cruise sitting in the back. There's also a 12-volt outlet over there, and the Stellantis drive selector over here. And that is really the whole cabin already. The seats, I think, are probably made of some kind of easily washable material, and that actually goes for most of the plastics in here. The seats also have this sort of extra armrest, which is quite nice for that extra bit of comfort. And all around, I have to say, the cabin gives you a feel of functionality without it feeling particularly cheap. Yes, the plastics are, you know, a bit hard and a bit rough, and there's not a single soft surface here in the whole cabin. But I don't think that matters. I don't think it is an issue that you can clean this easily and that it's very functional and rugged. Because of course, if big people with work boots get in and out of this van and scuff and bump into everything with their tool belts still on, you don't want everything to break and scratch right away. And certainly you don't need any high plush carpets or anything in here. So it's all very functional, but without feeling cheap at any point in time. So I think that is very well judged by Toyota, and very well done in this case. Nothing really to complain about. I can really see this as a proper place to work and get going. So that's actually quite nice. And the big one really is the amount of space, like I said, which makes sense, this being a work environment, where people walk in and out with their work gear on. You want that breathing space and space to move around. So yeah, all around, good cabin. Then let's have a look at this second seating row, specific to this version, obviously. It is actually quite comfortable back here. I'm 1.83 meters, 90 kilos, and I can sit here with myself on each side, no issues whatsoever. Obviously we're rubbing shoulders then, but that is fine. I think if you're transporting people to and from the job site in this car, there won't be many complaints. It is pretty basic back here. There is no real features going on or anything, but I don't think that is necessary either. There are a few smart touches, like some extra USBs down there for charging back here. There's space for storage underneath this seat. There's also an extra storage sort of ledge back here for gloves, hammers, or anything that you might want to throw down there. And it's just bare functionality in here as well. Like the floor, for example, is just hard plastic, obviously easy to clean when you get in here with work boots. Interesting to note as well is that we have windows on each side, which is of course nice for transporting people back here. But from the outside, it doesn't look like a window per se. It looks like a plain sheet of metal. So that's nice, because from here you can look out and get some light in, but from the outside it doesn't necessarily look like you need to be looking in here. Other than that, yeah, pretty basic, nothing really to see here. There's simple things like ISOFIX, but that is about it. Now I'll show you the under seat storage as well, because that is actually quite a good feature since there is space underneath here. So there's a little loop that you can pull and then it opens up and you have the storage underneath. So again, super functional and super handy. And for example, the charging cable is here in this case. Then of course a little bit of driving in this Proace electric van. And I have to say, we're currently on the highway. It is a very pleasant driving experience. You have a lot of overview. It's really nice how high you're sitting and how much glass there is in front of you. It really gives you a bit of a king of the road feeling that no SUV can give you. Not even a nice old Land Cruiser, also from Toyota, that's just passing us. So that's actually, it's quite nice to sit here and have that overview and the very pleasant driving experience that goes with it. The fact that it's electric obviously means it's quiet. There's not that much noise here, I have to say. No real wind noise to mention. The only thing I'm hearing is tire noise, mainly coming from the back, because obviously there's not that much sound insulation back there. So it makes for a very pleasant driving experience, I have to say. Driving this in city environments, things become a bit more cumbersome, because obviously it's a large vehicle. Although I have to say it is not as big as those huge high vans. It's still, you know, quite a bit smaller than that, but obviously it is significantly bigger than any kind of normal person road car that I used to drive. The main thing is the length though. So, you know, width-wise I can deal with most of it. It's still, you know, you can see the front and the sides of the car pretty easily from up high like this. But mainly having to estimate and deal with the length of the car, that's where the challenge is. And obviously also, for example, when you go park somewhere, you'll stick out. You need two spots parallel to each other. But I have to say, both in city environments and here on the highway, the driving experience is actually quite nice. This electric powertrain is not fast by any stretch of the imagination. To give you a bit of context, we're now doing 100 exactly. If I floor it, 104, 10, 16, 22, 28. So it's not fast. There's just simply not enough power available to be a fast van. And that is with an empty loading bay and no people but me inside. So imagine if you add a lot of weight to it, obviously it's going to be even slower. So for speed, you're not buying this van, you're buying this for emission zones, for clean driving, for saving on fuel. So if you are a one-man show and you can charge at home with your solar panels, this is the ideal solution in many ways. It's interesting that powertrain, obviously this is the electric version. There are diesel versions aplenty available of this specific van as well. There is some downsides. So obviously the towing capacity and the payload capacity are lower in this one, in the electric one. We have 75 kilowatt hours and that gives us about 350 kilometers of WLTP range. Not sure if that is with or without any kind of load in it, to be honest, so take that into consideration as well. 350 range, which means real world about 300, so that is still quite manageable. I think if you're you know, a one-man show, you probably do most of your work in less than 150 kilometer range from where you are living, so that's fine. The 50 kilowatt hour version that's also available is of course cheaper, but that gives you 250 range, WLTP. So that's going to be less than 200 real world use, and yeah, that gets a bit too little, I think, because you know, the odd day that it's cold outside, then yeah, you're looking at so little range that it becomes a bit unusable that way. And there's also limitations. I mentioned the towing, for example, already, and the load capacity. In the diesels, it's simply higher. But there's also specific applications that are not possible with a battery electric vehicle. The guy, for example, that does my tires, my winter summer tire change, he has a big van, and he says, yeah, I want to go electric because I do basically all my work in cities, but I have a bunch of very heavy equipment in my van, the stuff to take the tire on and off the rim, for example, that is bolted to the floor and it's anchored to the floor. So there's, you know, big, thick, long bolts going straight through the bottom of the van to anchor that machine into position, and that's simply not possible with a battery underneath. So there are certainly limits to the battery application of a vehicle like this, where diesel still is either more flexible in terms of architecture or more flexible in terms of range and sheer capacity in terms of payload and what you can put in the back. That said, I think this is you know, maybe a generation of battery technology away from becoming completely usable for basically any kind of situation. And I think in many ways it's also the future. I mean, the vans going in and out city centers are so plentiful these days that it makes sense that they also at some point have to abide to the electric revolution, if you want to call it that way. And I think that's not a bad development, because those diesels, as good as they might be for certain applications, it's certainly not necessary for everybody. And if you do most of your work in, let's say, 100 to 150 kilometer radius of where you're based as a professional, then I think a van like this can be a great tool for you. And I think that's actually, I say that on purpose, because I think that's the takeaway from a week with this van. It's really a tool. It's an extension of you as a professional. You live and breathe in this van. You do your administration, you have your lunch here, you sit here with your crew to and from the job site. It doesn't really matter if you're a plumber or if you fix bikes or if you're just a handyman. I can totally see how this works and how you start with a van like this as your blank canvas and start speccing it up from there and fit in exactly the things that you need and the tools that you use, and sort of build it around your use case. And it makes every van in many ways unique, and I think it's really cool that there is that platform to start building on. And that's really cool. I asked a few workmen that were around my house fixing a few things in the neighborhood what they were looking for in a van and what they thought of this van. And you could see their eyes like almost start to sparkle, like, oh yeah, vans, oh yeah, and the racks in the back, and they showed me some stuff that they were doing. And it's really cool to see sort of the extension of the tradesman in this van. And I think Toyota also offers a solid proposition here with, of course, the Toyota things like a 10-year warranty, like traffic help along the way if you break down, things like alternative transportation if your van needs to be repaired, and all those kind of things you can add on to your van experience when you buy a van like this. And I think that's good, because if this is a tool of your trade and if this is an extension of what you do, then this is just as crucial to you as a screwdriver, as a matter of speech. So it makes sense that you want to make sure that this is always rolling, because when it's rolling, you're making money as a professional in a vehicle like this. So that's cool, and that was fun to try this out. Let me know in the comments below if you guys want to see more videos like this with sort of specialty vehicles, because clearly most of my reviews are passenger cars, but there's a whole world out there with exciting vehicles purpose-built for certain applications that I think is really cool to make videos of. So if you want to see that, give it a thumbs up and let me know in the comments. If you don't, also let me know, of course, because then we don't make those kind of videos if there is no interest in it. For now, thank you very much for watching. Give it a sub to the channel if you like what we do. It's always much appreciated, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Cheers!